Roll4Crit.com presents How to Play Mansions of Madness in 5 minutes or less or more. Mansions of Madness is a Lovecraftian mystery adventure in which one player, as the Keeper, controls monsters and obstacles in an attempt to keep the other players, or investigators, from conquering evil. The game was published by Fantasy Flight and designed by Corey Konieczka. The objective of Mansions of Madness is a mystery! At the beginning of the game, the Keeper will choose and customize a specific scenario which could have multiple different goals. The investigators will need to search for clues in order to find out how to win and how to prevent the Keeper from winning. Each scenario has its own layout using the game's modular tiles. At the start, players will choose an investigator and receive their starting items and character card, which gives you all their important details like health, sanity, and etc. Now get ready to explore some spooky mansions! Investigators get to move in any order they want. On an investigator turn, you get to move twice, 1, 2, and take one action. Your third action can also be another movement. If you attempt to move into a room with a lock card over the doorway, the card flips over, and you find out how you can enter that room, usually by finding a key or solving a puzzle. So what are the other actions you can take? Well, you can do anything on your character card or item card prefaced by the word action. Gee, aren't keywords helpful? If you're tired of your stupid boring items, you can drop them as an action for someone else to pick up later. The most important action you have at your disposal is Explore. If you explore a room containing a face-down pile of cards, the Keeper will reveal them all to you. This is how you'll discover clues that will eventually lead to you learning the objective of the game. You might also find helpful items such as weapons, keys, or equipment. Or you might find nothing. Aw, shucks. If you're exploring one of these funny-looking card piles, that's an obstacle. It gets flipped and you'll have to overcome it somehow, sort of like a locked door, before seeing what's underneath. Finally, as an action, you can attack monsters. Oh boy. To attack, you have to be in the same location as a monster or have a ranged weapon. The Keeper draws cards depending on the type of monster you're fighting until they get one that correlates to the weapon you're using. Then you'll probably have to make an attribute test to see how your attack goes. Attribute tests are where you'll roll a die and try to get a number equal to or less than the value of your character's attribute being tested. For example, if you're using a gun and the card says to test marksmanship, you need to roll a number equal to or less than your marksmanship level to pass. If you fail, it might be bad. Take away all of the monster's health points and it dies and is removed. After all the investigators go, if any are in the same spot with each other, they can trade items. Otherwise, the Keeper gets to work his or her magic. At the start of the Keeper turn, they get a number of threat tokens equal to the number of investigators. These threat tokens are the Keeper's currency, which they'll be spending on dark and evil powers. They can do as much in one turn as they can afford. So as the Keeper, here's what you might do. Draw Mythos and Trauma cards. These are nasty little cards that you can play on unsuspecting investigators when they least are anticipating it. They trigger based on things that happen during the investigator turn, such as when they take damage or sometimes just from moving. You might also move monsters. Monsters can move just like regular people, but they ignore locked doors because they're expert locksmiths. Or you might also add new monsters, because you can never get enough monsters. Once the Keeper does all their things, any monsters in a space with a player attack that player. This works pretty much the same way as all combat, drawing cards and rolling dice to determine the results. Finally, the Keeper places a time token on their event deck. If the number of tokens equals the number on the top card of the deck, that card gets flipped over and read. This could result in new information or new effects on the game. Well, them's the basics, but here's a few extra tidbits. Different scenarios might feature some of these little pieces. Ladders or barriers or hiding spaces. Investigators or monsters can utilize these things with an action or movement depending on the specific instructions. For example, push a barrier against a door to block a monster, or move down a ladder into another location. Investigators will also have skill point tokens. Spend one before making an attribute test to add your luck value to whatever your current test relates to. Monsters will also require you to make tests when moving in or out of locations they're in. Coming into contact with a monster means you have to make a horror test, or an attribute test based on your willpower. If you fail, you take a horror token, which decreases your sanity and gives the Keeper a chance to play a nasty card on you. If you want to get away from a monster, you make an evade test based on your dexterity. Failing the test still lets you move away, but you'll also take damage from a monster attack. If an investigator loses all their health points, they die, they drop all their items where they are, and pick a new character to enter the game on their next turn, unless they die after the objective has been revealed already, in which case, they just die. Don't worry, each scenario could have its own additional tweaks and flavoring, so there are plenty of other twists and surprises in store for you when you play. But in conclusion, explore mansions, find clues, fight monsters, and vanquish evil. Or if you're the keeper, then do all of those things in reverse. That's Mansions of Madness in a nutshell. Did you get all that?